All right, good day, everyone. We've been discussing rational numbers, and today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting rational numbers. Really, the concepts are fairly simple. You've seen some of them before. We're just going to play around with some of the aspects of what it means to add and subtract rational numbers. So get me out of your way here, and let's take a look. So in adding rational numbers, let's talk first about decimals. And do you know that when you add decimals together, 0.5 plus 0.7, we'll say, you'll line up the decimal. You can 0.5 and 0.7 and bring down the decimal. And when you add them together, carry the 1. That's how you've been taught to do it. Lining up the decimal is the main key. Now what we're wanting to do is do you know how to type it in the calculator correctly? Is the one side of it. And the other side of it is, do you know how to estimate about what the answer is? Do you know what that number is and what that number is and what it's going to be about? For example, if I have 0.3 plus 0.1, well, we're going to practice typing in the calculator, but you know what that is going to be? Could you kind of make an estimate as to what that number is? And that's what the lesson is talking about. That's what I spent some time in class talking about is, what number is this close to? What number is this close to? And then put them together and about what's it going to be. For example, this number is about 1/2. It's about 0.5. Try to find easy numbers to estimate. 0.1, that's almost nothing. It's like nothing. So one way to estimate it is 0.5 plus nothing is nothing. And you can already see what the answer is by looking at it. But what if I go on the lower side of this, on the upper side of this? This is close to a quarter. It's close to 0.25. It's close to 1/4, and 0.1. That's also close to 1/4. So both way. Other ways to get, I'm still getting 0.5. When you do the math, yes, it actually becomes 0.4 by typing into a calculator. 0.3 plus 0.1. You do get 0.4, so we've got the 0.4. But the point of today is, can you come close by estimating? For example, 1.8 plus 2.4. Ooh, that's a little rough. This is about 2, and this is about 2, or maybe you'll say 2.5. Either way, you're going to get somewhere around 4 or 4.5 is what it's looking like, maybe. Or if this is 1.5 and 2.5, you're still going to get 4. It's a matter of estimating the two numbers so you can kind of in your head get close. Well, when you type it into your calculator without the glare, 1.8, 2.4, we have 4.2. And we can see how well we're estimating by, is the actual number close to what we're getting. Now on this assignment, you're also going to be, negatives are all over the place from now on, like I promised. So let's say you have negative 3.2 minus 2.2. Can you estimate? Do you know about what that is? You know that this is basically negative 3 minus 2. And do you know what that number is intuitively? Is it going to be, which way on the number line are you going from negative 3? Do you know that? That's also a piece of today's work. But I gave us some practice with the worksheet. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. Did you know that? Or were you thinking it might be something else? The reason we're using a calculator is to help us through this, but it is good to be able to have an understanding of this concept. Negative 3.2 minus 2.2, negative 5.4, the calculator says. So the point on the decimal side of this is, can you estimate and can you type it in the calculator? Fractions, same thing. If we're doing fractions, if you have 1/2 plus 1/3, do you know about what that's going to be? Can you estimate and say, well, that's a half. I kind of know what a half is, and a third. That's kind of close to half, so it's going to be close to 1, whatever the answer is. Now, yes, with fractions, and we'll talk about this more with ratios, you knew in math to get a common denominator, and you might work out this. I'm not telling you to work this out. Don't work this out this way, but That's 3/6 and 2/6. That's going to give you 5/6. We're not doing it that way now. We're spending more time with calculators. But that 5/6, that's close to 1. 5/6 is almost 1. But you can type this into a calculator and see what the answer comes out as. So the fraction 1/2. You're going to add the fraction 1/3. And the calculator comes up with the 5/6. They do all this work in just one step. So it's 5/6. And just, do you know that that's close to 1? Do you know that your estimate was pretty close? So in the estimating, it's just simply finding numbers that are close. So if I have 4/5 plus 1 6/8, as it looks complicated, just find numbers that are close to 4/5. That's almost 5/5. That's really close to 1. And 1 6/8, you might say that's really close to either going down to 1.5 or up to 1. Either one of those, you're close. You could choose either one. And if you choose this one, you're at 2.5. And if you choose 1 plus 1, you're at 2. So the number is looking, is it 2-ish, 2.5? What am I doing wrong? Oh, this 1 right here. If you estimate that this is close to 1, a better estimate would be 2. Sorry, I'm thinking too far ahead. So it's close to 1.5. It's not really close to 1 at all. That's not a good estimate. That's a good thing that I'll just keep the video going. I won't, so many of these videos, sometimes I'll just start over because I did something wrong. But this is a good thing to get wrong to see that I would have gotten this wrong. 2, is that close to 2? With what you're about to see, it's not at all. 1 plus 2, that's close to 3. So hopefully the answer is going to be close to 2.5 or 3 when I type it in, without the glare again. 4/5 plus, and I have to use this button above the 7, the mixed number, to write 1 6/8. We learned in our previous lesson. 1 6/8. 51/20. And we learned about changing it to a different form if you want. We push this button above the enter, the second button up, gives us 2.55. And then we can ask ourselves, is that close to 2.5? Is that close to 3? And you can see that our estimates are doing pretty good. Sorry about that. Okay, lastly, sometimes you might have a problem where you have a fraction plus a decimal, or decimal plus a fraction. But if we have 1/2 plus 0.4, well, just change the fraction or the decimal into the same form as the other number, and then you've got it. So you can change this so that it's 0.5, then you're figuring out 0.5 plus 0.4, or keep this 1/2 and figure out that this is 4/10, and then you can add those two together. It's about 1/2 plus about 1/2, so the answer is going to be about 1. And if you type the 1/2 plus 0.4 into the calculator, plus 0.4, we get 0.9. So the actual answer, 0.9, that's really close to our estimate. I am using simplistic numbers here, I know, but just to give you the idea of the estimating. Let's go ahead and do one really hard one off. -2 2/3 minus a -3 1/8. The reason to do this hard one is simply to show you, don't worry about the complicated numbers. Just find an easy estimate, and then we're just going to type it in the calculator anyway. So -2 2/3, what do you say that's close to? If you said anything between -2 and -3, then it's a good estimate. -2, -2.5, -3. And then minus a negative, what's a good number there? You could say a -3 or a -3.5. When estimating, I want to keep it simple. So I just like this, -3 minus a -3. And do you know what that is intuitively, or in your head? Could you do -3 minus -3? I've taught that you can change both of these to a plus if you have minus and negative. So a negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Whoa, whoa, the answer is going to be close to 0? Really? Let's check and see. There's some light. Negative 2 2/3 minus a negative, you have to hit those keys that way, 3 1/8. 3 with the arrow keys and 1/8. Part of this assignment, yes, is to see if you're entering the numbers correctly into the calculator. 11/24. 11/24. That's less than half. If I write it in, if I hit this button to get the other form, I'm now at 0.45888, whether it's this or 0.4583 on forever. Both of those numbers are pretty close to 0. Less than a half, 0.45. It's close enough to where the estimate is about right. So I just want to give you a sense of what it looks like when you're adding and subtracting rational numbers. But most of this work on this assignment is just calculator work. So as you're working this assignment, the assignment is to estimate an answer first, and then we'll go back and use the calculator. So work on that assignment. The assignment's there in the next sheet, next step in the module. And what am I thinking to say? Oh, the answers are there with the assignment, so you can look and see if you're doing it right. Listen to these rational numbers. If they make sense, I hope they're making sense to you. If not, we can talk anytime. Thanks for watching. Have a